In the headlines, police rescue 9 abducted victims in Safi local government area of Zamfara state. 98 Chibok schoolgirls still in captivity 9 years after abduction. Lasema rescued 25 persons from Banana Island building collapse, admits 16 in hospital. And on the international scene, South African convict Thabo Bester, who faked death to escape, returned to jail. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. And we begin with security, where police in Zamfara state say they have rescued 9 abducted victims who were abducted at Kucheri village in Safi local government area of the state. A statement by the command's public relations officer, CSP Muhammad Shehu, on Thursday said police tactical operatives have successfully rescued 9 hostages comprising of 7 females and 2 males who were abducted on 11th April 2023. He said the rescue of the victims was sequel to a credible information obtained from a Good Samaritan, which the police used and successfully rescued the victims unhurt. According to the police, the victims have undergone medical check at its clinic facility in Gusau, were debriefed by the police detectives and thereafter reunited with their families. The Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, congratulates the victims for regaining their freedom and reassures the public of sustained onslaught against the activities of terrorists and other criminal elements in the state. 98 of the 276 students kidnapped by Boko Haram terrorists from Government Girls Secondary School, Chibok, Borno State, are still in captivity 9 years after their abduction. The Chibok schoolgirls were abducted from their school on April 14, 2014. The incident sparked local and international outrage, with leaders and activists putting enormous pressure on the Nigerian government to rescue the girls while offering intelligence and support. Apart from the 25 girls who slipped from the grip of their abductors on the day of the attack, none was freed until 2016, when Amina Ali was found by vigilantes around Sambisa forest. Mariam Ali Mayanga escaped with her Boko Haram husband, their baby, and followed by 2 others who escaped individually. The federal government facilitated the release of 21 more girls following a negotiation brokered by the International Red Cross. Another set of 82 girls were released by the insurgents in 2017. So far, 178 of the girls were escaped, but sadly, many of them suffered various violations as they returned home traumatized, some with children sired by Boko Haram terrorists. Still on security, barely 8 days to 29th May inauguration of the incoming administration, Katsina residents want the federal and state governments to face insecurity head-on. Civil society organizations, women and other vulnerable groups in Katsina State are counting days to the end of incessant terrorist attacks that have devastated the socio-economic fabric of the society. Abdullahi Yamadi has details of the report.
The outgoing administrations of President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Aminu Masari say they have done more than enough to end the incessant attacks, killings, kidnapping for ransom, and animals rustling. But despite the significant drop in terrorist attacks over the last few months, there are still pockets of attacks in some local government areas of the state.
We want to see more attention focused on improving the local security architecture so that they can function effectively in addressing the problem. The government should also ensure that there is a very good synergy between the local security architecture, especially the vigilante group, and the other security agencies like the police, army, civil defense, and the rest, so that they can work together.
This Katsina resident wants the incoming government of Dikko Radda to focus on addressing the main drivers of terrorism, such as poverty and drugs abuse.
We are hoping to see policies, programs that will address the issue of women, children, and the aged people.
Other respondents expect nothing short of an all-inclusive administration by the incoming governor, which will include people with special needs and other minority groups. They are confident that Dikorada, who has a vast experience in administration and governance, will put together relevant people to assist him in running the affairs of Katsina State.
We have this expectation that he is going to have another inclusive government where Katsina State indigenous will be part and parcel of the administration. And if all put together, more hands are put into the administration, it is easier for the governor to have a smooth running of administration.
We have Office of SSA disabled to the Governor for Disabled Matters by former Governor Masari, and currently we are seeking, we hope this new governor will take over and continue from where the governor stopped.
They also want the incoming governor to prioritize agriculture, health, education, small and medium enterprises, as well as local government autonomy in his first 100 days in office. Observers are optimistic that the Dikorada administration will try to replicate the infrastructure and human capital development witnessed during the administrations of Umaru Yar'Adua and Ibrahim Shema. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In politics, the Kano State Governor-elect Abba Yusuf has again issued a public advisory on alleged use of public funds to finance the Saturday 15 supplementary elections in the state. This is contained in a statement issued on Friday in Kano by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor-elect Sanusi Dawakin Tofa. The statement says the NNPP is in possession of credible information that Kano State government has directed the release of 61 million naira to Dogwa, over 60 million naira to Nasarawa, and over 60 million naira to Wudil local government areas for the supplementary elections, while other local government councils are also listed to receive hundreds of millions of naira to fund the elections. The statement said the money was released solely for sponsoring political thugs to unleash violence on the innocent citizens and residents during the supplementary elections in the state. It warned that anybody found wanting on the scandal will face the necessary action at the most appropriate time. The electoral umpire INEC has urged registered voters to come out en masse to exercise their franchise in Oyo State. Saturday's supplementary polls will hold in 8 affected polling units, which make up 2 federal constituencies in Oyo State. The fate of candidates who contested for seats in the nation's lower legislative chamber in Oluyole, as well as Ibadan North, East and Southeast federal constituencies, hang in the balance. Head of Department Voter Education and Publicity, Rosemary Adeni, assured voters in Ibadan that INEC was fully prepared to address irregularities noticed in the last elections. The Commission had cited the malfunctioning of biometric voter accreditation system machine and other irregularities in these affected areas as basis for cancellation.
Altogether, we have 8 polling units only that the supplementary election will be taking place on Saturday. Please, everyone that is registered in those polling units should make sure that they go out to register. Please, we don't want to see anyone that is not registered in those polling units. No, if you know you are not registered in those polling units, you don't have any business there. We have the party agents that will be there, that will take care of whatever they want to take care of at the polling unit. All materials, as I'm speaking, all materials, beavers, ballot paper, whatever materials that has to do with the supplementary election has been received. We don't have any issues with materials. Concerning the security, the security agencies will be fully on ground. For we like you already know, we have ICES meetings, and so we will be having interagency consultative committee meeting with all the security agencies in Ibadan, and everyone will be on ground to make sure that security is fully provided in all those polling units.
Lagos State Government has stopped further work on the 7-story building under construction which collapsed on Wednesday in highbrow Banana Island. The 25 construction workers who were trapped in the building have been rescued and 16 of them who were injured taken to hospital for treatment. To facilitate the rescue operation, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Thursday stopped all building construction processes in the island to give room for comprehensive audits of the officials of the Lagos State Building Control Agency. The State's Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Gbenga Omotosho, who disclosed this in a statement, said the state government had launched a probe into the incident. He said the Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, has visited the site and hospitals where victims of the incident were admitted, noting that of the 25 persons rescued by LASEMA, 16 who had moderate injuries were admitted at General Hospital Odong, Lagos Island and Police Hospital, Falomore for treatment and care. Now moving on to crime, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Kano State Command, says it has arrested no fewer than 93 suspects for various crimes in the state between January and March. The NSCDC State Commandant, Adamu Salihu, disclosed this in an interview in Kano on Friday. Salihu said the suspects were arrested for theft, vandalism, and criminal breach of trust, among others. The commandant reiterated NSCDC's commitment towards protecting and safeguarding all critical national assets and infrastructure. He enjoined residents to support security agencies with useful security information to keep the state safe, adding that security should be every citizen's responsibility. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. How furniture makers struggle to remain in business. Do stay with us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They have served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnbawards.ng and follow our social media handles at TNB Awards.
documenting the Nigerian story.
That's great. Good to see you.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust News Update. Here's a recap of our top stories. We told you that police rescue 9 abducted victims in Safi local government area of Zamfara State. We also told you that 98 Chibok schoolgirls still in captivity 9 years after abduction. Now moving to health, government at all levels in Nigeria have been charged to address challenges facing women in the country to ensure that their sexual reproductive health rights are guaranteed. The demand is against the backdrop of the untold hardship and difficulties experienced by a majority of women in the country due to their inability to access health services and other inhibitions. Hamid Oyegbade files the report as presented from our studio.
Nigeria is a signatory to many international rights-based mechanisms, particularly on sexual policies in relation to law, population, human rights, as well as sexual and reproductive health of women. But this has not translated into liberty for women in the country, as they continue to suffer lack of access to health facilities and inability to obtain legal services to defend their rights.
Nigerian women are facing a lot of challenges regarding their sexual and reproductive health and rights. Some of them include harmful cultural practices that are still going on in Nigeria, like female genital mutilation. Other challenges include lack of access to contraceptives,
and which oftentimes leads to other health complications. It leads to issues around high blood pressure. Imagine a pregnant woman who is constantly under pressure. The best way to put it is this: you are held in a particular room and the door is locked. And then you're trying to get out and you're knocking and there is nobody around and you're forced to stay there. That is exactly how I feel that women who do not have access to their health and reproductive rights, that's how they feel. They feel shackled.
This has made it imperative for all arms of government to work with relevant stakeholders, including legal practitioners, civil society organizations, religious and traditional leaders, as well as the media, to address the challenges confronting women in the country.
So when 50% or over 50% of your population are denied their human rights, in this instance women, because they're the ones who are most impacted by the lack of delivery of reproductive rights, then you are taking away 50% of your population's ability to contribute to nation building, to contribute to our economic mainstay and an economic advancement. And that is why it is critical that these rights, which are human rights, should be enjoyed by all in dignity, in confidence, to express themselves, to be happy, and all of that. These are really, really critical.
Going forward, necessary reforms must be put in place, including review of existing laws. Nigeria must be in tune with the current realities so that women in the country can live a healthy life and achieve their full potential.
Carpentry and furniture production has over the years provided job opportunities to many youths in Nigeria's commercial city of Kano. However, the lack of capital and high cost of raw materials are thinning the ranks of those engaged in the once lucrative industry. In this special report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin examines how furniture makers are struggling to remain in business.
Ibrahim Sani is a local carpenter who owns a small furniture production workshop in Kano. He usually buy, sell and repair broken furnitures, and in most cases he builds the new ones for his customers. Ibrahim says this handwork means everything to his life.
From my primary to university education, all was sponsored
with this business that I am doing, this furniture making that I am doing. And right now, as I'm talking to you, there are almost 20 people who are under me. And out of these 20 people, 10 of them are married. With over 20 young men under his command, Ibrahim is able to keep body and soul together, including teaching these young men how to become professional carpenters and furniture makers. I've started doing this business 7 years ago, and we thank God the trade is doing everything to us. I'm going to school and I'm using the money I'm getting here to sponsor my education. We thank Almighty Allah for this trade. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I have one wife and 14 children, and I am taking care of them with this particular trade that you are seeing. So the business means everything to us. Unfortunately, the business seems to be in crisis these days, courtesy of largely the lack of capital for these young men to sustain the trade. Raw materials too seems to be too expensive for carpenters like Ibrahim to afford. The major problem we are facing is the high cost of raw materials. One, because we carpenters and furniture makers, we don't have tangible union that will help us regulate our own activities. That is why today you go to the market to buy raw materials, you hear the price is different. When you go back tomorrow, again you will hear the price has increased. Kano seems to be a place where all kinds of furnitures are built, but carpenters express growing concern over government inability to intervene in their business over the years. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
In business, the Naira redesign policy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria was met with heavy pushback by Nigerians. The intent of the policy was to take the next step towards a cashless society. Does the resistance by citizens mean that they're not ready to turn away from hard cash and embrace e-payments? Chamunda Beng finds out more.
As the rest of the world embraces the several benefits of a cashless economy, Nigeria is still holding on to a cash-driven economy. The Naira redesign policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria was aimed at removing excess money from circulation and pushing Nigerians to embrace the cashless policy. It, however, backfired, and the redesigned policy is currently on pause until December 31st, 2023. What went wrong, and will citizens ever be ready to accept a cashless Nigeria?
Cash is more preferable because some people are not used to it. Like the kind of technology we have is not stable in Nigeria. Like sometimes, like there's a day I want to buy something, I transferred, they've shown me sent and debited me. The woman have not seen a lot up to today now. And the woman expect maybe I've not paid her, or maybe I did her a fake transfer, and which they debited me. Like I even showed her they debited a lot. That is, I think we have a stable network that maybe you can sort out issues of transaction. But for now, there are some places they don't accept transfer. Market women don't accept transfer. You can't go and get a paper and say you want to transfer how much. So we need the cash.
People are beginning to accept the transfer form, you know, but not everybody. You understand? For those that are literate and they have accounts, for those that are not, they still tell you they need cash. And if you don't have cash, no deal.
During the Naira scarcity, the volume of transactions grew by 45.6% in the month of February. However, with the reintroduction of the old 1,500 and 200 Naira notes, what will be Nigeria's prospects of getting to a cashless society?
All the gains that we seem to have gained from not having cash around, we seem to be losing. Crime is on the increase, kidnapping has started again, people have started hoarding cash because, people now go every day, they leave in the morning, go and queue in the banks, get 50,000, so they're pulling as much as they can out of the banking system.
The danger of the mismanagement of the Naira redesign policy is that Nigerians may suffer from a trust deficit when it comes to embracing government policies.
What's key, is that you must make the deaf hear, and you must make the blind see, and these are possible. The moment the deaf can hear, it simply means that what I'm trying to say is that it must be convincing enough. I think what happened was that they depended on hearing themselves and then beginning to see themselves, as Nigeria. So it might require for you to begin to build, this infrastructure first and foremost, the back ends for these people who are on back.
The challenge of the Naira redesign policy was not the intent, but the implementation by commercial banks and point-of-sales operators whose short practices made life difficult for citizens. The challenge would be how to sell the many benefits that can be gained from a cashless economy to Nigerians following the complete mismanagement of the Naira redesign policy. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from Nigeria, a fugitive rapist and murderer who left a burnt corpse in his cell in an attempt to fake his own death during a daring jailbreak has returned to prison in South Africa after fleeing to Tanzania. The case has embarrassed South African authorities and sparked fresh outrage over the competence of the country's police and criminal justice system. Dubbed the Facebook rapist, Thabo Bester, who was sentenced to life in prison for rape, robbery and murder in 2012, lured victims on social media platform before raping and robbing them. He killed at least one victim. Although he escaped from a privately run prison in Bloemfontein almost a year ago, South African police say they only found out last month. Charred body of a man was found in Bester's cell in May 2022, leading to the country's prison authorities to believe at first that he had set himself on fire. DNA evidence later revealed that the body belonged to someone else, and police launched a murder investigation late last month. And finally, in sports, Nigeria's under-18 girls team defeated host Ghana in a thrilling match at the International Handball Federation Women Trophy Africa Zone 3 phase ongoing in Accra, Ghana. Cosmos Chukwuemeka, media coordinator for the Handball Federation, said this in a statement made available in Lagos on Thursday. Coach Shitu Adewumi's side continued in their superlative form as they easily earned a 49-29 win over Ghana, despite the hosts enjoying the support of their fans at the tennis arena. Goalkeeper Kehinde Babatunde and her co-goalkeepers made some vital saves to stop two-time Ghana MVP Balchisu Salifu from scoring, but it was Nigeria's Esther Matthew that got the MVP of the match for scoring vital 9 meters goals from the wing. Nigeria has now won 2 matches in the under-18 category and will hope to maintain their winning streak when they play Ivory Coast next Friday. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.